Good morning to everyone. On my watch, it's precisely 1 minute after 2. So I think, although some people are still joining the session, I will just start to introduce myself and to introduce our project and start to discuss about the competitive call. This webcast today is especially for those who are interested in the competitive call, or those who are interested in conducting a laser-based equipment assessment. And we want to give information about how to apply and what kind of assessments we would like to see. So my name is Ulrich Tomlinson. I'm coordinating LASHARE. LASHARE started September 2013 and is now therefore in operation for 1.5 years. And we are conducting the laser-based equipment assessment as a new approach of forwarding technology from a lab-proven environment towards a robust prototype. The consortium itself can be looked at on our website, LASHARE.eu. So if you want to have an overall view about the project, today I will only introduce 1 or 2 assessments. The rest of it is up to you to look that up. We have some people in the background from I4MS. That's an initiative that's embracing quite a few projects which are currently in operation and have received funding from the UN Commission. They're supporting us in providing this chat today, so thanks to them. They will also track the chat channel, so any question that you have during the presentation, please just post it into this chat session. If we should not be able to address these in a question and answer session after my presentation, then we will do that as a follow-up and contact you accordingly. We have another team in the background that is from Arctic, that's our management partner. They are going to serve all the requests that are coming through the web address which we installed for LASHARE Open Call, that is cc@lashare.eu. So if you have any questions, then you can just mail there, and the project office team will be happy to serve you there. So I hope that everybody is now online who is really interested in the content. The academic 5 minutes are more or less gone. So I would like to start in presenting you the agenda for this webcast today. I want to give you one statement about the mission and objectives of LASHARE, its vision, and a short overview about the principle that we are using here. And as I already said, in point number 3, I want to show you one or two or three assessments which are currently in operation. And then in section 4, there's all the details about the competitive call that I want to introduce you to. So, starting with the mission. LASHARE aims to share laser expertise to accelerate innovation for manufacturing SMEs through laser-based equipment assessments. That means that we establish a process of assessing laser-based equipment, and that the objective of all that is to accelerate technology transfer into the market. With this, we support currently 14 SMEs and users from an industrial environment to elaborate solutions that have been anticipated at the beginning of the project. The focus is clearly on assessing these laser-based equipment according to criteria and the market demand. So that is the thing that is guiding us in our assessments as well. What's required in the market at the current time, defined by the user, supplied with an equipment by the SME-based supplier. With LASHARE, we also want to provide an independent source of information on laser-based equipment, so also to communicate what we're doing within the project and what could be done with all this equipment that's being developed. Through the competitive call, we strive to implement 10 to 12 new LEAs. So that's addressing you as a second wave of assessments that should be operated from September this year to September 2017. As I already said, LASHARE has established now an assessment framework. An assessment framework that guides this laser-based equipment towards an accelerated technological development, to orient it towards the market needs, and in the end to validate it against a real-world scenario. So to really prove that the equipment changed from being a lab-level demonstrated technology to a robust prototype. The market receives therefore an increase in transparency, so an estimate of cost and properties that are connected to this laser-based equipment, and the assessment framework also establishes relevant criteria that classifies, that makes the laser-based equipment classifiable. The assessment itself, that's what we call our approach, involves suppliers which provide the laser-based equipment, and they should advance this technology that they envisage from a technology readiness level of 4 or 5, that depends on the specific assessment, to a readiness level of 7 or 8. So we precisely know that you cannot move from technology level 1 to 9 within 2 years for a specific equipment, but for another, you could only make it for 1 or 2 steps in the technology readiness level. So this has to be defined by each assessment, where they want to start, where they start at the beginning of the assessment, and where they think they can arrive in the end of the assessment. It should realize the demand and the whole development that the supplier is going to do should be oriented towards a robust product. The user now, so the role of the user, to secure the expected return on invest, that's his benefit. So the estimate of what the laser-based equipment can do for him or for her can be judged in a better way through the established criteria. And it will, yes, be a beneficial thing for him because the user receives this laser-based equipment first. Now, the roles of all these people which are involved in such an assessment are the supplier, the end user, and the research partner. So the supplier ideally should be an SME company providing that kind of laser-based equipment. The end user should be industrial-oriented, if possible, internationally operating company who requires this kind of laser-based equipment to advance their manufacturing. And the research partner serves as a backbone, providing scientific support and development support such that the whole development cycle, so the whole assessment itself, is ensured to achieve its goals. The tasks that are in this assessment are combined in an assessment circle. So the task number 1, this is also what you will later on have to define, what you do in these tasks. The task number 1 is the initialization of the assessment, so to really sit down together with the RTD partner, the user and the supplier, and agree on specifications, agree on technology readiness level now and technology readiness level at the end of the assessment. So to have this embracing development path really specified down to evaluable criteria. Task number 2, embrace the development and the improvement of the laser-based equipment. Task number 3 is the validation, which should take place in an industrial environment, so in a production-like environment. That means if this is a 24/7 operation, then it should be demonstrated that the laser-based equipment is able to operate in 24/7. In the end, there's a resume, so that finishes the assessment circle, the round that has been taken, by putting together all the lessons learned, by resuming if the achievements that were anticipated in the beginning have been achieved, and perhaps also to indicate what's still necessary to move from the achieved technology readiness level to a real product. So, the assessments. If you look at the assessments, we have quite a few, 14 in number, that show very different applications. Some of them are based to positioning the laser with respect to the workpiece. That's, for example, vision-based laser cutting for pattern fabrics. The acronym of this assessment is ALPS, and we currently have grouped that in the LEA, so Laser-Based Equipment Assessment number 301. So that's also the work package number. Another thing is, for example, work package 306, the direct diode laser system for cutting of mild and stainless steel, CUDE. That's an assessment where a diode laser system is developed, fed through a laser into a processing head in order to advance the technology of direct diode processing of materials. And further on down, there are other projects which might be of interest to you. You can drop into those on our website. I just now flipped through and will stop at one or two of these assessments. For example, here you see the assessment of CUDE. The objectives that they want to achieve is to pump a diode laser system and to feed that into a fiber which in the end delivers 1 kilowatt at 7.5 millimeter millirad. So to have a high cutting quality in the end with that high quality laser beam. And with this they strive to achieve cutting of mild steel up to 6 millimeters, stainless steel 4 millimeters, and aluminum 3 millimeters. There's one system which you see here, Mobilas, that's a hand-guided system. So there's an application being developed where the laser can be manually positioned on a workpiece in the field and then automatically weld the part that has to be welded. We have another thing, for example, here, Parrot. That's an assessment where ultra-short pulse material processing is addressed, and there an optical system is being developed that allows the beam splitting and precise positioning for parallel processing of workpieces. This, for example, is a processing head where powder is coated on the inside of a tube. And the objective of this assessment is to install process sensors that allow a better steering of the process, so having a better control of the later product quality. So as you see, all these assessments go in different directions, but what they have all in common is that they have a laser-based equipment. Coming to the competitive core. I tell you now some information for the, let's say, from the legal point of view. All this information in this webcast is not legally binding. Please go to the website, LASHARE.eu. I will also have some additional information here, where you can retrieve the documents that are legally binding. So anything that you want to follow up from there. There's also additional information from the European Commission on eligibility of partners and rules on how to apply. But generally speaking, there's a set of documents which should help you in doing all the relevant steps. Call facts. This call closes on the 16th of March 2015 at 17 o'clock, so in the afternoon, Brussels time. That means that proposals that are sent in at a later time will not be evaluated. The expected duration of the participation in the project, that's a formal value. So that's these 24 months. We expect the partners to join the latest at 1st of September 2015. And the project lasts till September 2017, so that's these 24 months. And the duration of the assessment, therefore, should not be longer than 22 months. They may be shorter, so if you just need 20 months, then that's fine for us. But they should not be longer than 22 months in order to make a finish of all the assessments at the end of the project. The available funding is given there, so each LEA should target at a funding of 250,000 euros. As I just said, that's funding, that's not budget. The budget depends on the partners and their roles. So if they are SMEs or if they're coming from industry, that all makes a difference. What we expect is that we will see 10 to 12 new LEAs. The topic covered by this call. So this is a block of text that is directly taken from the call text, as we call it, as we name it. So what you also find in the documents and on the web. I just read it out. The core task of the laser-based equipment assessment shall focus on sensors and knowledge-based ICT systems that enable at least one of the following aspects. Autonomous setup of machine and laser parameters for fast and flexible manufacture, process quality control for robust processes and fully documented production in the area of complex manufacturing tasks. So that is basically saying what you should address with your assessment. So you should cover somehow some sort of sensor system that puts an added value to the laser-based equipment, that puts an added value to the process that can be done with the laser-based equipment. Or you should have knowledge-based ICT systems, so to embed things into a control system, not the standard PID controller, that would, I guess, not be selected by the external evaluators in the end. But it should, however, embed some sort of knowledge. So that means knowledge about the laser source, knowledge about the process. But as I said, not on implementing a PID level, but on some more like model-based systems. The autonomous setup of machine and laser parameters is what should be addressed by that. So it should enhance the manufacture either with respect to speed or flexibility. And the other aspect that you can target at is to document the process, to have more robust processes in order to advance the overall production facility. And all that should be executed in the area of complex manufacturing tasks, so that puts off things that are already in the market, that are easy and that are at a TRL level of 9. The objectives for the new assessments are to advance a laboratory demonstrated solution. So that means something that has been demonstrated on the lab table, which might have worked for 5 minutes, but which must work for 24 hours. So somehow at a TRL of 3 to 4 to 5. To robust prototypes, that means a laser-based equipment that can really be operated, that might not have the final housing, that might not have a final version of the software, but that is more or less robust and does its job. There has to be a gap towards a product, definitely, because we will not fund any projects that try to develop a product. It should be focused on the benefit of the supplier. So what we mean by that is that the supplier should receive most of the budget, because this kind of company is the one that's going to sell to the market afterwards. It should preferably be an SME. So in the evaluation, as you see in the core documents, there is a point saying preferably SMEs. The user should guide the whole development of this laser-based equipment towards the market. That means we would like to see internationally operating users, or at least users that really represent a requirement of the market. So to have them as a proxy of what's currently needed out there now and in the scope of the next 2, 3, 4, or 5 years. The whole thing should be supported by the research partners. So there are currently 16 research partners in the project. They will back up all this kind of development. They will guide these new teams, these new LEA teams, through the assessment with the currently established assessment framework. Conditions for new applicants. One thing that must be clear, if you are already connected, as meaning be a part of an entity that is already a partner in LASHARE, or if you are a partner that is already in LASHARE, then you may not apply. You must be a legal entity, so that means a company. depending on the country of origin, must be registered somehow. And you must have a PIC number. This PIC number is Participant Identification Code, as far as I'm informed. Anyway, that's a number that you receive from the European Commission when you register with them. Our projects office, the Arctic team, they will provide you guidance on how to get this PIC number. But as I said, you must be registered in order to apply. Conditions for funding. The whole program, so LASHARE itself, operates still in the Framework Program 7 of the European Commission, so all the rules that are established from Framework Program 7 also apply to the new partners. And what you are going to do is you're going to exceed a project that currently exists, that's currently in operation. So you will accede to the existing grant agreement and to the existing consortium agreement. If you want to see them beforehand, let us know. Then we can send them to you for your review. The structure of the proposal. The first bullet here, cost and funding breakdown. When you look at the template that we provided, you will see that's the table that just resumes what's written on the 2.2. But generally speaking, that's the money that is going into such a project. Section 1 should report about scientific and technical quality, so to describe what your laser-based equipment shall do, what the concept of the laser-based equipment is, and what objectives should be achieved when developing this laser-based equipment. In 1.2, you should describe the scientific and technological methodology, so how to arrive at these objectives and what the precise questions are. And you should also display an associated work plan, so to have a GANS table or to have at least a list that makes clear what steps are necessary and what should be done. The implementation itself lists the participants themselves and the resources to be committed, so what kind of equipment, what kind of personnel, what amount of personnel, what amount of equipment you need in order to do that. The impact is then the section which is most important for us, because we want to see what this laser-based equipment will do in the end. So if it will change the whole manufacturing chain, if it will change a complete market, or whatever will be the impact on Europe after the laser-based equipment. Point number 3.2 lists dissemination and exploitation of results. So that means the strategy that you think is suiting your laser-based equipment, how you plan to communicate the achievements that you made, how you want to exploit the results that you achieved. We, from LASHARE, so the backbone of LASHARE itself, will assist in this point 3.2. So if you have the discussion with the RTD, then also discuss this point, please, because we currently have quite a few activities there. We join exhibitions, we publish things on the web, and we are going to ramp up other activities which make really visible what has been done there. You have to fill in the precise content. The expected impact of conducting these laser-based equipment is to serve new application areas or to extend such areas, so to add, for example, new ones. Things that are currently beneficial to European production are, for example, high customization, so to allow producing products with individualized features, or to produce in small batch sizes, so to reduce setup times, to reduce changeover times. Anything of that should be listed then in this impact session if you can address those. More competitive supply side SMEs. That's the point why we would like to see that the suppliers are SMEs, but also that the laser-based equipment can be sold to SMEs. So if you have the benefit of selling your laser-based equipment to an SME so that they can advance in production or gain more money, then that is also to be listed in your proposal. Higher innovation capacity and competitiveness in Europe, the European producers, That's more or less resuming the same point, and again, listing the benefits to the producing companies as well as to the supplying companies. What I already said is there are currently existing RTD partners which are going to take you on board and going to guide you through your laser-based equipment assessment. These are listed here. You also find them in the web. And if you should plan to submit a proposal, please send an email to any of these RTD partners if you want to associate with them. Discuss the project early. Because the RTD partners will have to provide a budget for what they are anticipated to do in that new assessment. And this time is running short if you do it on the last day. So it is really advisable to do that early, to start the discussion so that the RTDs are aware of what you want to do, that they can provide a budget on time. Because if you do it too late, then it's your problem that you don't have a figure there and you cannot submit your proposal. Please keep that in mind. I have a short excerpt from the guide for applicants. That's one of these documents which you should have a look at. I just picked out one or two. The proposal must be prepared in English, it should be clear. Submissions should be done by email, electronically in PDF format. The address for that is cc-submission@lashare.eu, and the time at which the proposal will be received by our system will be the time that is influencing the evaluation. So if you submitted if our system should receive your document after 1700 on the last day, then it will not be evaluated. Make sure you send it early enough. One thing that is relevant to the follow-up is this point 6, which I took from the guide for applicants. That is that we try to really be fast on the implementation of the laser-based equipment assessments. We want them to start on the 1st of September, and that means that we will have to evaluate them very fast. We expect to have this evaluation ready at the 10th of April, and we will then have a negotiation meeting at ILT, so here in Aachen, Germany, which is tentatively scheduled, as written in the document, for Tuesday, the 21st of April. So that means that you would have to be here in order to do the negotiation of your proposal. And it also means that you have to register with the AEC very early. One thing I would suggest to you, as people interested in joining this project, try to register now fully with the AEC. You have to provide only a few documents stating if you're an SME or not, stating the setup of the company, and this process takes its time. If you do it right now, as I said, it's only a little bit of paperwork, then the AEC has time to process all that, so we could have that ready after April. If you don't do that now, in the first wave, then that might perhaps later on affect the joining of the project. Further information can be found at the website, so www.lashare.eu/en/cc.html. Anyway, you find it in the menu on the left. I can just show you the website, so you find it here. I hope you all see this. So it's a competitive call. You click on there. And then you're guided to this whole section, so call for experts. That's something that we're going to close in the next day. So there we are asking for these external evaluators that judge your proposal and send us their opinion, so that later on we have a list of proposals that can be selected. There's a call text. There are the call documents, which are referenced now quite a few times in this talk. So here, this resumes again the general text that I had on my slides. Here's the guide for applicants. You have a submission of your proposals. So here you have a direct link to the CC submission at LASHARE.eu. You can just click this one. And here you also have the templates for the proposal. So please be also aware, we have provided this here in PDF and in Word form, so you can either copy it or you can try to make it look the same, but we would really ask you to have the same structure and to have the same layout, so to use just this Word document. Yes, and the follow-up here is pointed out again. So here you find all these competitive call related things, and if you want to go in detail about the assessments, then you find them on this website as well. So coming back to the presentation, just to remind you, if you have further questions, which we could perhaps not address in now, please use cc@lashare.eu. We'll try to help you there. Yes, and that's ending my talk. So thanks a lot for attending this webcast. I think we said we have it for 30 minutes now, so this time is over right now. But as I heard from IFRMS, so from Sylvia and the other colleagues of her, we have still some time perhaps to discuss 1, 2, 3, or 5 questions. So with this, I would like to give back the microphone to IFRMS to try to plug in some people that have questions. Thanks a lot.
Ulrich, I just sent you by chat 2 questions I received during the webinar.
So I just heard that I received 2 chat messages, yes, and I see them on my screen. So what the people from IFRMS just sent me is this one here. Are you looking for IT partner for data logging, visualization, and KPIs? I guess key performance indices. That's what's meant by this abbreviation. I think that it would be a good idea to have IT competencies in such an assessment. So if we're talking about an SME that wants to provide laser-based equipment, and which is a very keen specialist on lasers and how to pump them and how to bring the radiation to the workpiece, then this SME might perhaps not be the best one in IT solutions. If that was the question, then I would recommend that you should try to put in 2 suppliers. So to have 2 partners on the supplier side which play together and provide the necessary competencies. On the other hand, yes, the RTD partners as well have specialists on IT in their environments. So the other option that such an assessment would have would be to ask the RTD if they can provide the data processing, the data mining, the data analysis, technology, and the knowledge how to do that and to implement that for you. So that would be the 2 alternatives how to search that. What would not be eligible would be a partner that is only doing IT or data logging, because we're clearly focusing on laser-based equipment, so we are not calling for IT projects on their own. The other question was as well as knowledge management and MES integration. MES would be for me now manufacturing execution systems. I'm not perfectly clear what MOM is. With knowledge management, that could be quite beneficial. We see quite a few manufacturing systems, especially in the laser-based equipment area, which are not really well integrated into shop floor environments, so which are not integrated into enterprise resource planning, manufacturing execution, and so on. So it could be a very good point in coming up with a solution where the job description, so the geometric description of the processing operation comes together with a set of parameters for the laser, which is then fed into the machine so that the machine can more or less autonomously do the material processing job. and to kick out the final product after this step. However, if you look at the text that we have put in, we said knowledge-based ICT. So coming back to your question, if you ask for MES integration, yes, but only pushing a fixed set of parameters for the processing machine forward would perhaps be a bit weak. So there should be a little bit more in that one. Okay, so I have answered these two questions. Sylvia, are there any additional questions which we could discuss right now?
Not for now. I don't know if anyone wants to make some questions. We can receive them by chat if you want.
So yes, if you want to, I currently don't know if you heard Sylvia from this side. If you have any questions, please put them into the chat or just call for opening your microphone. Then you can also put this question through the audio channel if you want.
Hello?
Hello?
Hello, yes. I'd like to ask two questions.
Yes,
my name is Harry Tsahales. I'm calling from Research and Development SME, Paragon, and I have one technical and one administrative question. On the technical side, on the side of ambition for these calls, because there's mention between knowledge-based ICT, but also for autonomous systems. So I heard the explanation about knowledge integration into ICT, primarily coming from model-based development. But my question is the following, that even in model-based development, you still need experimentation. So I would like to ask, is there flexibility in the call to also consider model-less knowledge-based ICT, meaning that this is a type of ICT for monitoring and control systems that are able to do without models, to do sensor data correlation and fusion for monitoring or control actions for multiple inputs, multiple output systems. So I was wondering if there is such a margin in the call, or if it's a bit too early to try to propose these things.
I think NEMO control and experimenting systems themselves have been on for quite a while. Perhaps it's time to do like that now in this call, yes.
So model is...
Sorry?
So model without models. Let me try to phrase it this way. This is the type of ICT that relies on computational intelligence techniques to be able to do behavioral modeling without prior information, relying solely on sensor data. So because you made a lot of mention on model-based information for knowledge-based ICT, so is also ICT using no models but only sensor data applicable as well? That creates knowledge.
Okay,
creates
really
knowledge.
Now going into the very detail of that wording.
Well, not that. I just want to clarify.
That's all right. Right. I think I got your point. So try to put it in my words. So you're asking if it has really to be a knowledge about the actual process that has to be implemented, or if the machine might also create the knowledge itself
Yes.
by sort of inference, by sort of black box modeling and so on.
Mm-hmm.
You have to persuade the evaluators if they think that that will be a viable solution. Let me put it that way. Knowledge-based ICT, at least from my understanding, would just direct into an objective that the machine is capable of doing more than the PID controller. So that it knows something about the correlations, that it knows something about the process itself. I would wonder if you could produce product quality without defining product quality. Perhaps that helps you in steering your idea.
Yes, well, that is incorporated. I mean, not everything is gray or black. I'm referring to the control level. You see, because the actual control or analysis is fully descriptive. So if it's fully descriptive, it will have those functions or indicators and such. But what I was getting at is that even in model-based development, not all models are existing or mature for every single process. So there is a gap there, so to speak.
Yes.
So what my question was to be for SMEs that do not have any and every single type of process modeled, that if perhaps there is margin to consider those to an extension to model-based. I mean, they wouldn't be one or the other, but essentially you extend the model-based processes to also the capability for which you may not have models or mature models where you still have to do experiments to do model development or model validation, where that same data, what you use for model-based development is actually the same data you can use to create a system on its own. So it's complementary, so to speak. It's not one or the other.
Sounds pretty interesting, that idea.
I just want to see if it's within the scope, so we don't have to go into detail.
No, I think it would well be in scope. What I said about embedding models was only to give all of you out there an idea of what we meant by embedding knowledge-based ICT. If the knowledge is the way you connect your senses together, then that's fine for me. But as I said, you have to persuade the evaluators. They will have the guide for applicants. They will have all the documents that you see on the web. And I think if you suit these wordings that are out there, why not?
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. The second question, just administrative, on the side of RTD partners inside proposals, does that also extend to research-capable SMEs? Meaning that SMEs that have already a track record of doing research in framework program projects, or is RTD strictly meaning academia or RTO?
We have RTDs or RTOs, whatever you want to name them, in the project. So that is Fraunhofer ISC, that is IMAN, that is KT, that is Alphenoffice, LZH, that is TWI. So these are the RTD partners, and they play the RTD role. It is definitely beneficial if the partners from the SME side have research capabilities, because then we can argue better that they are the right ones to do such a research project, yes.
So they can qualify as a technology provider, not only an end user.
Sorry?
So they can qualify as they can qualify as a technology provider in addition to end user.
Who? The SMEs?
Yes.
Yes, what I said, the suppliers should be from the SME side, or should be SME type companies, and the users should be industrial ones. But that's only from the perspective of having the user as a representative of the market, and the SME of being someone who can still grow and sell to many companies, so who doesn't do it for its own.
Okay.
That's the idea behind asking for SMEs and trying to support them for European manufacturing.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. So are there any other questions?
Yeah, I just copy one question for chat to you, Ulrich.
Is an ontology description based on ISO 62264 as part of Internet of Things and Industry 4.0 in line with the project? I don't know what an ontology description means. If the ontology description is the focus, so the main focus of the assessment, then no, because we're looking for laser-based equipment. if the laser-based equipment has a benefit from an ontology description, then yes. I mean, if you add additional functionality to this laser-based equipment, if you make it suitable for other applications, for being changeable, for having a fast setup time, for a fast changeover time, as I said, supported by such a description, by such a classification, by such an implementation, then that could well be a good working point. Okay, any other things in the chat?
No, I have no more questions.
Okay, if not, then I would like to point you back again to the website, LASHARE.eu, or to the email address cc@lashare.eu, where you can ask further questions if they come up. We're trying to get back to you as soon as possible, as fast as possible, to put it that way. And please, again, be reminded, contact the RTDs early. Take care of submitting your proposal through email early enough. There might always be some bumps in the electronic road. Please use the templates that we provided. Thanks a lot for attending, and I wish you all the best and success for submitting your proposal, and success for your business as well. Bye-bye.